All right, everyone, it's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, highlighting Florida State as we do each and every Wednesday night right at this time, 7 o'clock Eastern time. So, as I have said in recent weeks, don't be selfish and take all this in yourself. Invite your family, your friends, your social media acquaintances as we talk Florida State football headed toward the big opener against Boise State in Jacksonville in just about, what do we got about, Jason? 5 weeks, maybe 6?
We are officially, let's see, today's the 24th, so 1 month and 1 week. Thank you, God.
And with that, we bring in Jason Parker from Chop Chat. Please join him and the rest of the crew there breaking down Florida State football. As you can see on the screen, this is our 9th edition. So we are going to steamroll through the college football season and beyond, talking Florida State every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Jason, how you doing tonight?
Good, sir. How you doing?
I am doing just fine. It's good to see you, and it's good to talk some college football. And yes, in
I will
4/5 weeks, we'll be able to talk about actual play on the field.
I do want to point out that it took you 9 editions to finally wear garnet. I do appreciate that. You are finally wearing garnet for a Florida State edition of Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I do appreciate that. Mazel
And
tov.
because you threw in the voice of college football at the tagline, it spared you from making some kind of comment that I may have been tempted to about this possibly being a USC tinge of garnet.
Wow.
But no, this is Florida State Live. I wouldn't want to.
No, garnet, completely garnet.
Clearly garnet. It's a good look, even on me. So we are talking Florida State football. Want to invite everyone to join the live chat. As you can see, I am negotiating a different application and software, as you can see, so bear with me, but we will try to do that and also monitor the live chat at the same time. So bring your comments and questions because, hey, if I don't know the answer, Jason certainly will.
And if I don't know the answer, I can sound like I know what I'm talking about. So it works out.
We can do that.
There we go.
All right, everyone. We've got ESPN's Football Power Rankings out as of last week. Florida State at number 21. Now, considering the talent, that's probably a little bit better than number 21, but the issues stemming from last year and the uncertainty of whether they'll be cleaned up. Your thoughts about the preseason ranking of sorts, Jason?
Even with the amount of talent that FSU has, and FSU, if you want to go by talent alone, is a top 15, maybe even pushing a top 10 team. That being said, obviously last season it's going to bring it down. I was a little bit shocked to see them even ranked in the top 25 of the first FPI poll. And we wrote about this because they are currently using ESPN's FPI index, are currently favored in 10 of the 12 regular season games. Obviously Clemson and Florida right now being the two that they are heavy underdogs in. Clemson, obviously, we understand why. Florida, I'm not so sure. We can talk about that as we get closer to the season. It's a little surprising for me just because I think that there are a lot of people out there who love to see FSU suffer last season, love to see FSU going 5-7. So the fact that they are even considered a top 25 team was very surprising for me. Don't get me wrong, I'll take it. If they want to be ranked to start the season, I will absolutely take it after what took place last year. But yeah, surprising would definitely be an understatement.
All right, folks, it's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, talking of Florida State each and every Wednesday night. Jason Parker bailing us out tonight. This is why I invite 5, 6, multiple guests, layers of guests for these live streams on Wednesday night, because people have other obligations and other commitments. And lo and behold, Jason is here to carry the load start to finish. It's just you, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be like Cal Ripken now. I got a perfect streak going. Let's see how long we can take this.
You've got the perfect streak that I believe at one point that you predicted would last 12 years, or you threw out some ridiculous number at me.
I might have been drinking. I'm not sure.
I think the Cal Ripken number is a 26-32. So 26-23 to go.
That will not be happening, but I'd like to appreciate the effort, though.
Especially with the once-a-week format. Might be difficult to get there anytime soon.
We can try, but, let's see what happens. Let's go for 10. Let's go for 10 first.
Jason, of course, you checked out ACC Kickoff, not to be confused with SEC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac 12 tonight, media days, but ACC to be different. Kickoff Was there anything stated by Willie and the boys that would lead you to not necessarily to think anything different about this football team because it's just talk, but maybe give you a different slant, a different feel for what they're thinking and what a possible storyline might be over the next month?
So we talked about it a little bit last week. I think the big word that I would come out with is confidence. They seem like a confident group. They didn't seem like a group that went 5-7. You bring Tamari and Terry, you bring Marvin Wilson, arguably two of the most athletically gifted players on the FSU football roster. And then Coach Taggart, we had interviewed him in May when he was down here in South Florida for a booster event. And he was very confident about how the 2019 season was going to be as much fun, and how even with the losing season last year, that there were no reservations of, am I worried about my job? Am I worried about, anything else? So I think confidence was the big thing that surprised me to a little bit. FSU has always been a program that, and it comes with the dynasty era of the 90s, the late 80s and the 90s, that you're going to be confident as one of the top teams in college football. That being said, after what took place last year, it was surprising that they were as confident that things were going to be much better in 2019 than they were in 2018.
All right, folks, Florida State Live every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Basically, we speak the day before the time is typically how it's done in English. So thank you so much. Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time, Florida State football talk each and every week for you as we get you set for Boise State and what a showdown that will be. I'm intrigued, fascinated by this matchup. That once we get into fall camp, we will look at the positional breakdowns and the matchups, and we will do all of that in the upcoming weeks, as we mentioned. So I'm staring right at the live chat here, and my goodness, the language tonight out of you folks. Power Hitter P right out of the gate. And Power Hitter P, we love your contribution. You're always here for us, but gave us a big FSU right out of the gate, but he did not say F.
That's a little harsh.
That's a little harsh right out of the gate. Not a hi, hello. Jason, how you doing tonight? Good to see you. None of that.
What school does he represent? I'd love to find that out.
I believe Power Hitter P, you could guess, would either be a Gators fan or a Canes fan, but I believe he's a Miami fan. I'm almost positive. Byron Lamb, what up, Mark? So Byron, here's the tradition. This is the first time I've seen your handle. I will only do one of these a night or per show, not to irritate my fine guests here. But Byron, here's the tradition right here. It's growing. It's known. This
can't be good.
Welcome to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Byron, thank you so much for joining. We appreciate it. Would love to know who you root for and how long you've been watching. This is the first time, of course, we've seen your handle, so that's a hearty welcome to you. Jason, did I fail to give you one of those the first time you guest appeared?
You did fail, but that's cool. That's fine. I got that one.
You got that one. Just insert Jason.
Byron and I will share that one. That's fine.
Absolutely. Let's check out the chat. Do you folks have any comments or questions for us? I'm not going to read everything here. Yes, Ryan, thank you so much for noticing. Yes, the StreamYard application that we're using tonight and will be going forward seems to be much better in regards to just cleaning up the broadcast just a bit here. Deep Barat, thanks for joining. DeAndre, thank you so much. DeAndre, a big Clemson fan, Jason, but a defender of the ACC, if I have ever seen one.
Is that possible? I mean, we're not like the SEC. We actually, root for our schools here, but we appreciate it. DeAndre, everyone, thank you. Thank you for supporting us here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
Jason, the other night, DeAndre took me on one win for the ACC against 5 wins for the Big Ten in 6 matchups last year. And I was fighting for the easy side, and he still took me on toe to toe. So DeAndre is a die-in-the-wool ACC supporter.
Best conference in football. Just ask
Clemson alum 98 as well. And I see nothing from you guys. So again, any great comments, questions that you have for us, let us know. There's a pretty serious situation, of course, involving Jordan Travis, 25th rated dual threat quarterback out of high school in 2018 out of North Palm Beach, Florida. Jason, this is something that I wasn't aware of until you mentioned it right before we started to go live. Break down the situation for us.
Well, we wrote about today on ChopChat.com that it's pretty much where FSU is being held, and I use the word hostage today on ChopChat.com, but FSU is essentially being held hostage by the NCAA in the sense of Jordan Travis, who, like you said, is from Palm Beach, Florida. His brother played baseball for Florida State a few years ago, now plays for the Toronto Blue Jays. He plays freshman season at Louisville and obviously used the redshirt year, but he transferred in December to Florida State. And since then, Florida State has been waiting and waiting and waiting to find out if his waiver would be approved so that he would be instantly eligible to play if needed in the 2019 season. Is it a do or die situation for FSU? No, it's not, because you have James Blackman, who, if the season started right now, would be the starting quarterback for the Seminoles against Boise State. You have Alex Hornibrook, who the graduate transfer from Wisconsin, so you have options. What's frustrating to myself and to a lot of FSU football fans is the fact of that you are sitting here. We are now going on about 7.5 months since Jordan Travis announced his transfer, since he went through the transfer process, since he played in the spring game, took part in spring practice, and we still don't know what the deal is. At this point, I think there's a lot of fans of Garnet and Gold who are reserved to the fact that he probably will not be eligible, that the NCAA will probably not approve anything. Could that change? Could he get a waiver? Possibly. But it's more the thing that right now that it's annoyance. And it's what the NCAA, and there's some FSU fans who love to come down on the NCAA, love to come down on people who hate on the Seminoles, and I get that. I understand that. But this is a case of enough is enough. The NCAA just needs to make a decision, and the NCAA should have made a decision months ago. And what's frustrating is you have a situation where Justin Fields transferred from Georgia to Ohio State. Obviously, there was extenuating circumstances with his situation. You have Tate Martell, who, once Justin Fields transferred, was a wuss who was afraid of competition and transferred to Miami. And you're transferring from Ohio State to Miami. You're transferring further. You're a Las Vegas native, and you're transferring further from home. So it's not like you can say, "Oh, I was transferring to play closer to home," and he gets approved in no time. There's plenty of other circumstances. The situation with Tate Martell when he transferred to Miami was that Ohio State had no problem with it. Could Louisville be holding this up? There's some questions about that. Obviously, both Louisville and FSU being in the ACC's Atlantic Division, could they be behind it? So it's more of a situation of just make a decision, NCAA. It's time to just decide. Are you going to let him be possibly eligible in 2019 or not? Just decide already.
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, is Florida State Seminoles Live, our 9th edition. Tonight, we will take you all the way up to the opener with Boise State and throughout the college football season for what better be, I got to imagine, is going to be much better than 5-7. We've got the linebacker position featured here on the live chat. So Byron chimed in first, Jason, to say, I think the linebacker position is the weak link on the team. What's your position on that? Ryan jumps back in. He goes from weak link to loaded. And then we've got Sam 8911 SK, linebacker group, major upgrade over the last few years. We discussed it a few weeks ago, but your take.
It's a loaded group as far as the number of players. If you go by the amount of linebackers that are on the roster in 2019 for FSU, yes, it's a loaded group as far as that is concerned. My beef's not the right word. My concern has been you have Dontavius Jackson, who is without a doubt the leader of that group, arguably one of the top 3 members of that defense on the entire FSU football team. But who else do you have with him? And especially, as I've said before, we talked about it when we did position previews. Who is going to play with him, especially if Florida State is going to go to more of a 3-4 defense, where you're going to need more linebackers, you're going to need more people in that position. Who is going to be a consistent linebacker with Jackson in that group? Is it going to be guys like Emmett Rice? Is it going to be guys like Josh Brown? Is it going to be a lot of these guys? Or is it going to be one of the things where it's going to basically be Jackson in the middle and then just a group of guys around him? Are you going to bring in Jaden Lars-Woodby, who we talked about was a stud true freshman safety last year? Is he going to come up and play more linebacker? So if you just go by the amount of players, great, absolutely, it's loaded, 100% correct. If you're going by both consistency and who is going to start in the opener against Boise State, that's the question that many FSU football fans have at this point right now.
33 on the line right now. Florida State fans, you guys know what to do. Let's build this up as we head toward the opener against Boise State. Would love to see 100 on the line, 150. And obviously, by the time this posts and we get the eyeballs on it during the course of the week, we typically get about 2,000 views, but it would be great to get the engagement right out of the gate during the live stream. So Byron goes back to the positional units, and he mentions the secondary, which after we've had our many discussions on this show and otherwise, as Jason has taken us through all the positions, both sides of the football. So check out those videos. We broke it down, every position, different video post. So please check out those videos. And then once I did a little research myself, secondary, I think, is the best unit. I know that those two corners got burned periodically on a fairly regular basis, gave up 30 touchdowns, for fifth worst in the FBS, but obviously a lot plays into that. But with Levante Taylor, Lars Woodby, basically I'll frame him up as a safety. I just think that the secondary is the best positional unit on both sides of the ball.
It was frustrating to watch when you've got those guys, the guys that you mentioned, Levante Taylor, who was one of the top 10 recruits in the entire 2016 class. You have Jaden Lars Woodby. You have guys like Stanford Samuels III from down here in South Florida. He'll be a junior coming up this year. You had Asante Samuel, obviously his dad, Super Bowl winning defensive back in the NFL with the Patriots and whatnot. So you have the talent in that secondary, which made it even more frustrating to see what happened last year. And I'll give you, Clemson stomping a mud hole in us. I'll give you, even to a certain extent, guys like Notre Dame. Felipe Franks looked like a halfway decent quarterback in the season finale against Florida. That's not a shot at him. That's just a fact. He struggled, and that secondary for FSU made him look like a very good quarterback. I think, and it's easier said than done. And, we can sit here with a month to go until the season and talk about, oh, well, if this happens and this happens and this happens. If the Seminoles play up to their ability, they are a top 10 defense. And I know that's a bold statement to make, but it's a fact. You have a secondary that has, we talked about Levante Taylor, who's in his senior year, who I've said, to me, he has the most to prove because of the way he came in. Has he lived up to the hype from when he came in as a top 10 recruit? I don't think he has, and I think there's many other people who cover the Seminoles who would agree with that. Does he have the potential to be one of the top defensive backs, members of a secondary unit in the country? Absolutely. If he can play on his A game, if Asante Samuel, if Lars Woodby, if he both platoons and plays more in the safety position, a little bit more than linebacker, which still has yet to be seen. He has the physicality of a linebacker, but the talent of a player who should play, a safety position. If this unit can play up to both FSU standard as the DBU and up to the talent that these guys have, there's no doubt it's a top 10 unit. After last season, at this point, we'll take top 50 because that last season was atrocious. And not just against the stud programs like the Clemsons, the Notre Dames in Florida. They were making N'Kosi Perry look good at Miami. With all due respect, because he may start for the Canes to start, he's not a good quarterback. He is not a great quarterback. He's an okay quarterback, and Florida State was making him look like a stud.
Jason, we've got Florida, I should say Miami fans who prep for their 8 o'clock show by joining us live at 7 o'clock, and I'm sure you have angered many.
Go ahead, and that's fine. And Miami fans will be the first to tell you. And I live in South Florida. I work with plenty of Miami fans, and that's the question that Miami has: is who's going to start for their opener against Florida? Is it going to be Tate Martell? Is it going to be N'Kosi Perry? And they're waiting for fall ball, and that's fine. But also there has to be a position where you're literally a month from today, Miami will take the field in Orlando against Florida, and there's not even an indication who the starter is going to be. I have an idea who I think it's going to be. I think it'll be N'Kosi Perry, but who knows? But it goes back to the point. You have a N'Kosi Perry who essentially was starting games at that point because there really was no other options for Miami, and that FSU secondary, aided by obviously FSU shooting themselves in the foot with turnovers to help blow that lead. But N'Kosi Perry looked like a very good quarterback, and he looked more talented than he actually is.
As Jason recognized and took note of before we went live, I've got my this would be my official Florida State dress shirt that I wear to work on many occasions.
Nice.
So there it is.
I
We're
expect
looking good. We matched today.
I expect it next week and the week afterwards. So if we need to get you a Dillard's gift card or Macy's gift card or something, we'll take care of you. I got you for the holidays. No
I am not proud. I will take any benefits coming my way. I did also, in fashioning the show toward the Florida State brand and colors, wanted to do better on the lower third that we see that says Florida State Seminoles Live 9 with the yellow. Did not have the proper shade of garnet, crimson that would have done us justice. So I had to go with the gold.
I think we've got enough. You've got the helmet behind you. You've got garnet. I've got garnet. I've got the spear over there. We got the helmets and whatnot over here. I think we're doing all right.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're fine.
Fred's on the live stream. Thank you for joining. Always good to see you, Fred Langston. Mike Myrick, appreciating that we put this FSU chat together. It's awesome. Go Noles. Thank you, Mike. And Clemson alum 98, Nate 561, Deeper Rod, of course, and many others. All right, Jason, going to hit you up with some advanced metrics.
Oh, God.
So depending on your level of college football fandom out there.
I was told there'd be no math. I was told there would be no math in doing this.
That's what we told you, but
okay.
we just wanted you to show up every Wednesday night at 7. That was the important thing to remember. The rest of it's apt to change. It's subject to change, Jason.
All right, the answer is C. Go ahead.
The answer would be 33.7, actually. So there's a metric out there that measures success rate per down. So on first down, a certain amount of yardage that is required to be gained to consider that to be a successful first down. I think it's half the yardage. If you get it to 2nd and 5, that was a successful first down. It's something like that. And then 2nd and 3rd down, obviously for 3rd down, unless you go for it on 4th down, the success rate is based entirely on did you convert to a first down. It could be 3rd and 17. It could be 3rd and a half a yard, but you need to convert for that to be judged as a successful down. So only on 33.7% of the downs did Florida State achieve successful yardage gained. That ranking was 124th in the nation out of 129 or 30 teams, Jason.
That's not good.
That's kind of got to get better.
It's not good. I mean, I've written about it a couple of times that there's literally nowhere to go but up. And we've talked about it a little bit. That offense last year finished 111th in total offense. And that was mostly because you had a passing game that was I believe it was around 40-42 last season. You had a running game that was 127 out of 130 teams. We can get into that, why that running game was so atrocious last year. But the bottom line is the offense, there's nowhere to go but up. And Willie Taggart talked about it a little bit during ACC kickoff event last week, where he even admitted that the problem is you had a lot of guys who were recruited in for a pro-style, passing offense from the former coach who's collecting money now in East Texas. And Willie and offensive coordinator Walt Bell tried to bring in a revamped, newer offense, and it struggled. And Willie's, to Willie's credit, he has owned up to the struggles of what took place last season. Now with Kendall Briles coming in, it's going to be a similar kind of that offense where, a little bit more of the, sort of what you saw last year, maybe a little bit more passing, but a lot more of that running game. So that's going to be the question. Did that year of struggles help? And you got to look at it. 124th is bad, but what is better? I mean, what is the goal? Is the goal 70? Is the goal 60? Is the goal 123 at this point? By the way, like the super there, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Nice.
The voice of C.
Voice of C.
The voice of C. The voice of C. So I want to let people know that since we've got a different software application, different setup, and if you can only see what I see, understand that what you're basically looking at, I assume, still on YouTube, is that if you make a contribution to the channel, I so much appreciate that. I can't even explain or describe how much I appreciate that. In the past, that would light up. I'd be able to catch that very quickly and give you recognition. I've seen 2 tonight, but they do not display in the same manner. So they just kind of get lost in the sea of the rest of the comments and questions. So I apologize for that. But we did get a contribution from the YouTube. My goodness, YouTube supporting my stuff to the nth degree. Actual YouTube. But this would be now this is really impressive when you think about it, Jason. This is the U, as in, the dreaded YouTube. So we know who they root for.
Wow.
Supporting the FSU live stream.
Mazel tov. Mazel
We've
tov.
got 47 on the line, though. Thanks so much for joining us. And keep in mind that this happens each and every week, regardless of the live stream I do. There are always the most people on when we're ready to sign off. Not that we're ready to sign off now, but this is just the repeated pattern. So what you need to do is you wait for the video to process and post in just a few minutes, and you watch what you missed. All right, next up, Jason. Now, this seriously speaks to some deficiencies in special teams and elsewhere. Florida State ranked last in field position differential. They were giving up just under 10 yards loss per possession when they give up the ball on a punt in an exchange of downs versus when they get the ball back. The field position difference was the worst in the country last year. That has to get better.
Well, and that's something that goes back to, and I know that there's going to be plenty of people out there who are going to call me a Willie Taggart apologist, and that's fine. I will defend him. I think he deserves at least a second year after what took place last year with basically the joke, the way the former leader of the Seminoles left it before he abandoned ship. But the problem with special teams existed years before. You look at the 2015 season, the 2016 season, into 2017. That was a joke. Fans in the stands would scream that literally it was fair catch fest. How punt returners weren't allowed to even think about returning it. I remember one game, 2016, the loss to North Carolina, where you had punt returners and North Carolina players weren't within easily 10 yards. I'm talking about the FSU returners could have gotten 10 yards, which on the scheme of things, someone would say, 10 yards, 10 is 10 yards. That you just said, a minus 10-yard differential on field position. And they're saying they're fair catching it. And that's just the way things ran. And last year, the frustrating thing is you see when guys are able to return the ball. DJ Matthews in the Miami game, when he's able to actually take the ball on a punt, return it, what happens? He scores a touchdown. I'm not saying it's going to happen every time. Obviously, that's common sense. It's not going to. But you never know. And for me, I'm kind of someone who's willing to give up one or two bad punt returns if it means if I have two punt returns that average 5 yards each, and that's the price I pay for another punt return that's going to get me 30 yards. Yeah, I'm going to take that all day every day. And I think you're going to start to see more openness, I guess, with the special teams this coming season, especially with returning kicks. I think you're going to start to see that more in Coach Taggart's game plan in 2019.
You're on the line with Jason Parker from Chop Chat. Join him and the rest of the staff right there for the best in Florida State football coverage. So you get all of Jason's takes right there on chopchat.com. This is Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We cover the Power Five. Yes, I love the Group of Five. I've got nothing against the Group of Five. It's given me hours. Hey, Jason. None of that. It's given me hours of enjoyment on Thursday and Friday nights in particular. Yes,
I will respect the Group of Five. I think Boise State is one hell of a ball club that FSU is going to face in the opener, and I mean that sincerely. I sincerely think that Boise State does have the talent, does have the potential, does have the recent history to come in to Jacksonville and possibly leave with a win. That being said, that was more of a shot at UCF.
Okay, this is not the time, yes, for a Florida State fan to be making fun of the group of five with
Absolutely it
a
is.
date against Boise State coming up in 5 weeks.
It's always time. It is always time to make fun of it.
We got the Amazon link down in the description section below. What you do is you do your regular Amazon shopping using that link. You do absolutely nothing different. You don't have to buy the product. Doesn't cost you an extra penny. You use that link and you help us build the channel. Also, as a number of people have done tonight, at least two, you can contribute to the channel using the super chat. The super chat's on. And also our Voice of College Football community. We've got 2 exclusive live streams coming your way each and every week. One is where I respond to your viewer comments. We are pushing 50,000 for the year to date. So thank you so much for all these comments. We're going crazy with comments, Jason. 50,000. Can you imagine this year?
50,000.
Great response out of everyone.
How many of them tell me they like my garnet and gold?
I think we had a good 47,000 out of 50,000 just on your garnet and gold.
I mean, it's surprising. It's a little disappointing. I expected closer to 48, but I'll take 47. You know, there's room to go. There's room to go.
I think many of them just assumed, hey, this guy knows he looks great. We don't need to reinforce that.
Well, Mazel tov. Thank you very much.
All right. Yes, the super chat's on. Also, again, the Voice of College Football community. The link is down below. You grab the link, you sign up, and you get an exclusive live stream with me reacting to your viewer comments. Also, one in which I bring you on to talk directly to me, the Voice of College Football. All right. I think I've done all the house keeping at this point. So our last final advanced metric. Don't let your brain and head explode, Jason. We're only going to give you one other number. And this speaks to, a lot of people believe in football, to the luck factor. So there are a certain number of disruptive plays that any defense will make that's generally based on skill, ability, talent, brute force, speed, etc. But what happens to that football when it goes flying around, whether it be on a deflected pass or when it's laid on the ground, is to a certain extent a matter of luck. Where is that ball going to bounce? It doesn't bounce straight up. It's not a baseball, a basketball. It doesn't do anything like that. We don't know where it's going to go. And when it gets deflected up in the air, that sometimes every once in a while turns into like a 47-yard touchdown pass. But usually it's a good thing for the defense because the offense just is not expecting that. But based on this, last year's turnover situation, based on national averages for fumble recovery rates, and the rate of interceptions, deflected passes broken up, the Noles turnover margin should have been plus 2.5. Mm-hmm. It was minus 11. Maybe the luck factor swings back your way this year.
You know, it's funny when you talk about the turnovers because, you know, and I'm not going to make excuses for what took place last year. Last year was a losing season. Last year was what it was. With that being said, look at some of the losses. Look at the Virginia Tech game, for example. How, you know, Virginia Tech wins the game 24-3. One touchdown was off of a blocked punt. Another touchdown came off an FSU turnover. So, for all you know there, Florida State could win that game 13-10, just using it as an example. Obviously, Virginia Tech handled their business. They did their job. The Miami game we talked about, you know, with N'Kosi Perry looking decent. He looked decent because FSU committed 2 turnovers. And I think that goes back to what we talked about, and we've talked about in the past, the failures of the offense for FSU last year in committing turnovers and putting the defenses in bad situations, putting guys like Brian Burns, Devontae Jackson, Levante Taylor, putting them in bad situations. So, you know, it's hard for me to sit here and say that, you know, and we've all played football, we've all, you know, watched this game for years. Turnovers are part of the game, and it's going to happen. Some are going to go your way, some are going to go, you know, for the other team. What FSU is going to have to do this season is take care of the ball offensively, and I think that goes towards Kendall Briles, goes towards pressure on Willie Taggart, pressure on James Blackman if he's the starting quarterback. Is how do we hold on to this ball? How do we make sure that we have the ball, A, so that we can keep going down the field, and B, so that the defense is not on the field as much as they were in 2018?
Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, talking to Florida State. This kicks off our lineup each and every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Stay tuned. We've got another link coming your way at 8 o'clock Eastern time with some Miami talk. Jason would love to stick around for that, I'm sure. And maybe Jason, we'll look forward to, I think it's the first or second week of November.
November 2nd.
Get together. Maybe we have one big 2-hour block.
Tell Cam Underwood that we would love to. We can do it live here. We can. I believe if he's in here in South Florida as well. I believe
he is.
We can do it from the same house. We can do a Cam Underwood, Jason Parker, FSU Miami preview the Wednesday before.
And what typically then happens is you would throw out some kind of crazy scenario of you two killing each other or going at each other's throat. Whatever makes this thing go viral, Jason, whatever you two need to do, you guys take care of business.
In hindsight, that might not have been the best idea. We'll think of something. We don't want to offend Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football.
Absolutely. We have standards here. 904 Hurricane. Yes, hit the like button. We appreciate everybody who gets on here, and it's a number of people each and every week who basically remind and encourage everyone else to hit the like button. I cannot explain the YouTube algorithm. I just know that it likes the likes and it likes the comments and the engagement, and it likes duration of viewing in addition to just the views. So thank you so much. The numbers are exploding, everyone. So you have been amazing. I'm just doing exactly the same thing I've been doing for 5 years here. You guys have just done an outstanding job of getting the word out. Speaking of which, we've had as many as 54 on the line. We've got 52 on the line right now. That number increases a little bit each and every week as well. Would love to get that into triple digits by the time we see the Boise State opener. We also have, let's see, Seth Meehan. Miami's probably never again going to win the ACC. Hell, they're lucky to win the Coastal.
Yikes. Yikes.
We've got, yes, our man, Navy Thomas. Navy Thomas, big Nebraska fan. Thanks for jumping on here. Any Florida State views? Anything else here? Ryan, what do you got? Bad field position was a trend last year, game to game. Yes, we outlined the trends, Ryan. Thank you. Ian Keynes, thank you for the contribution. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. Anything else here? I don't necessarily see anything of note. I've got a question for you, Jason, in regards to your coverage there at Chop Chat.
Mm-hmm.
How is that fueled? How is that determined? Where do you get your ideas? How do you approach the coverage? What do you think is your mission, your purpose, your angle, your unique angle in covering Florida State football, in particular, the football?
In particular, obviously, FSU football is our bread and butter. It's always been our bread and butter. And Chop Chat was kind of dormant for a while. And then myself and Kelvin Hunt, who were co-experts on the site, we pretty much run it. We have a team of writers every so often. And we basketball and baseball, obviously this year, with basketball making another run to the tournament, baseball heading back to Omaha for the final season under Mike Martin, picked up our numbers, and our numbers are doing much better, record-setting numbers, especially for the month of July when there's nothing going on. But pretty much we discuss what we're going to do. Myself and Kelvin are writers. We divvy up our responsibility. Obviously, big events like ACC kickoff helps us out. I will give a shout out to the Clemson fans. They like it when we write about them. Clemson fans like it. Miami fans, Florida fans. We had an article, and we can talk about as the season goes on, but why I predicted that FSU will beat both Miami and Florida this season. Miami fans, they were opinionated, if you will. So shout out to the 305 and 954 Nation for reading our stuff. But yeah, pretty much it's just we try to keep our ears to the pulse of what FSU fans want, and hopefully we're going to keep this going for a while.
So it's always my thought, and I make this comment from time to time, that I would think that if you love college football, that you would have found a home right here in what we do each and every day with the best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers in the industry, and what I consider to be the best discussion and debate that you will see online. You can criticize me. Don't disparage my guests. So please, I bring them on. They give of their time. Don't disparage my guests. I know that they don't mind. Jason certainly has thick skin. He can take it. But if you're going to make digs, come after me. That's fine, because that's why I'm here. Jason, Big B. Kane Bennett asking about the quarterback situation and your thoughts.
My thoughts are that FSU is going to be okay. Now, does that mean that James Blackman is going to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in college football this year? No, I'm not willing to put my money on all of that right now. Do I think he's going to be better than a 7-win quarterback that he was in 2017 as a freshman? Yeah, I think that he's going to do enough to both rebuild FSU off of what took place last year while also building his stock for what I think could be an interesting 2020. And I won't look too far ahead, but I think if FSU goes out and by the end of the season is a 8-4, 9-3 team in the regular season, and maybe is a 10-3 team after a bowl game, that I think is where you're setting up for 2020. I think that's James Blackman's goal this season. I would like to see, and we've asked this question before, why does Alex Hornibrook transfer from Wisconsin to FSU? What was the reason? Is he going to get a decent chance in fall ball to fight for the starting job? Do I think he will win it? No. I think right now James Blackman is your starting quarterback against Boise State. Obviously, like we said, you have 38 days until kickoff in Jacksonville, so anything can change, anything can happen. But that's my question: is why? Why do you leave a starting job at a Big Ten school, a very good Big Ten school, a Big Ten school that was one loss away from being in the college football playoff not all that long ago? Why do you transfer to a team that went 5-7 last year? That's my question.
Folks, we never run out of content to talk about. People ask me all the time, what do you talk about the entire off season? Or they just assume I shut the channel down or something. But I tell them, if anything, with all the lists and the rankings and the things like that I like to do, I in some sense have more to talk about. But won't it be nice, Jason? Fast forward 5 weeks when we can preview Boise State. And then even beyond that, when we've got two things to talk about, we're going to have the previous game, depending on how good that and juicy that game was, and then to preview the next game. We're just going to have too much to talk about.
You don't have to convince me. You know which side I'm on this one. So I need August 31st to get here. Let's hurry it up. Win the opener on my birthday weekend. Let's get this done.
All right, with just a few minutes left in the show, of course, now come the questions. They're flooding in. 904 Hurricane. How confident are you, Jason, in the offensive line in that they keep Blackman healthy all year?
I'm confident that they will be better than the god-awful atrociousness that they have been the last 3 seasons. Am I confident that by better, I mean if they were a -2 on a scale of 1 to 10 last year, do I think that they could be – I think they have a potential to be a 4 or 5, and do I think that's enough to keep Blackman alive to start in the season finale against Florida? Yeah. I'm much more confident than I was after the loss to Florida last season.
Understand, folks, as there is typically a number of comments that you may not want to see in the live chat, and I typically do a nice job of filtering and remove those comments because of the application that's running from YouTube to StreamYard, which allows me to do all the other configurations. I cannot cut these comments out. I probably shouldn't make that known, but I can't cut them out. I would have to get back to YouTube and go through the theatrics. So just ignore the stupid comments that are a bit over the line. So we love the trash talking, people. We love the trash talking. Trash talk all you want. Let's not get personal. All right. We've got Austin Keynes asking, Jason, what happened between FSU and Chance Williams? Anything there that you're aware of in regards to his recruitment?
Chance Williams, obviously, he committed to Miami this week. We sit here and we're going to take shots at Miami as the year goes on, but I think it's a good get for Miami. I would have liked to have seen him commit to FSU, but I think Miami ended up now. Here comes my shot. Obviously, with Miami and Florida, I've had a decent amount of decommitments for the class of 2020. So will he stay with Miami? That's going to be the question I think a lot of Miami fans are worried about. But if he does stick with Miami, I think Miami got a good gift for the class of 2020.
All right, all right. This is the rundown tonight, as it is each and every week, 7 o'clock Florida State. That's what you're watching right now, 56 on the line. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'll remind you that we're talking Florida State each and every week at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So bring the folks on that you know on social media. Let them know that we're here. And we talk Miami at 8 o'clock Eastern time. That's going to be a different link, 8 o'clock Miami, and then the Ohio State Buckeyes at 9 o'clock. And as an extra added bonus, tonight at 10 o'clock, we've got a report from Pac-12 Media Days live from Hollywood, Jason.
You're going to have to stay up till 11 o'clock Eastern time. You've got a long night ahead of you.
Yeah, we know that I never stay up to those ungodly hours of 11 o'clock.
God. No West Coast football.
Never do that. No. I wasn't up till 4 o'clock last night and then up at 7. No, not me.
Never.
All right. Good stuff with Jason. We usually have Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day. I guess he had other obligations. Jason holding up the just lifting, just carrying the load, lifting the entire show up on its shoulders.
Next week, the big 1-0, big 10 straight episodes.
That's it.
Get excited.
That is it right there. Hey, everyone, we thank you so much for joining us again. Join Jason each and every day at Chop Chat as he posts new material all the time. And, of course, lock it in here at the Voice of College Football, Mark Rogers TV. We will be right back in just a few minutes with Miami Hurricanes live, Ohio State at 9, Pac-12 Media Day coverage at 10 o'clock Eastern. Jason, we appreciate you doing yeoman's work and carrying us through Week 9.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it.